Money Show with Rick Schaefer and Susan Kaplan.
Explain what a buyer's broker is. Most people know what a seller's broker is, but I think a lot of people are still not fully versed in what a buyer's broker is.
Sure. Well, in Massachusetts, there's basically two types of buyers brokers or buyer agents. One is what is referred to as a designated buyer agent. The other is what's called an exclusive buyer agent. Mm-hmm. Like you said, everyone sort of understands that the listing agent represents the seller. They have an obligation to look out for the seller's best interest, get the highest price, things like that. The buyer agent, whether it's a designated buyer agent or a exclusive buyer agent, their duty is to the buyer, not the seller. Mm-hmm. The difference, however, is when you're a designated buyer agent, you work at a real estate firm that represents both buyers and sellers. So the issue that can come up is that if that designated buyer agent that you're working with is listing property for sale, and you choose to make an offer on that property, that buyer agent then turns into what's called a dual agent. And what that means is that dual agent is then representing both the seller and the buyer. Mm-hmm. So as you can see, that could be a problem. You're no longer getting, the full 100% loyalty that you were getting prior to that. The other issue that comes up is that if you're interested in a property, the buyer is interested in a property that someone else in that designated buyer agent's firm is listing for sale, that designated buyer agent represents you. Everyone else in their office does not represent you. Mm-hmm. In fact, they technically represent the seller. And so you could see where there could be a little bit of a problem there where, your buyer agent works with the listing agent in the same company. Yeah. There's also situations sometimes where companies are giving buyer agents compensation or incentives to have their buyers buy properties that are being listed by that company. With an exclusive buyer agent, you never have to worry about whether or not they're going to try to get you to buy a house they're listing, because they don't list any property for sale. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about anybody else in their office listing property for sale, because everyone in the company just represents buyers. So it's really, as you can see, lots of people use designated buyer agents too, but as you can see, it's sort of a cleaner transaction when you're dealing with an agent that's only representing buyers.
I'm surprised, and I must admit I wasn't aware that companies that do dual agents and use designated buyer brokers as opposed to exclusive buyer brokers will give an incentive to their buyer brokers to sell properties within that are being listed by that firm. I would think that would be on its face a conflict of interest and illegal, but apparently Massachusetts has not seen fit to make it illegal, correct?
That's my understanding, yeah, that does go on. I don't know the specifics of it. I've never worked with a traditional real estate firm, but it is my understanding that is something that happens. Whether it's compensation or some sort of other incentive, I'm not 100% sure. But Massachusetts does allow dual agency.